This movie was so good, I bought the popcorn bucket. Alright, last week Denis Villeneuve made a new film. Not only that, it's a sequel to the critically acclaimed Dune from 2021, Dune Part 2. If you don't know, Dune ended off on a cliffhanger where Paul has joined the Fremen, and now he's on the quest to retake Arrakis and save the planet. How does it end? Does it end in a good way? Well, that's how we got Dune Part 2 as it released last week. Now, to be clear, I love Denis Villeneuve as a filmmaker. I think he is absolutely top of his class, phenomenal. I am currently watching through all of his movies right now, so I can do a ranking to you guys, hopefully coming out next week. But he's just such a phenomenal director to where I'm just anticipating everything he does. The first Dune, I think, is one of his weaker films. I'm just going to throw out there and say it. I am not the biggest fan of it. I liked it. I loved a lot of stuff it did, but the action and the pacing of the action and the pacing of how it went was just odd for me. I don't think it really worked in that sense. So, going into this movie, it was on my most anticipated list. A couple videos back, you can go check out that list. But it was on that list. It was a movie that I was excited for, but I tampered my expectations, told myself that it probably won't be the best movie of all time, I probably won't love it. I still want to see it opening weekend. It took me 2 extra days to watch it because I was in Florida. Last 3 videos that I posted were filmed before Florida, so if you're a bit confused on that and why it took forever for me to get this one out and did that before this review, it's because those were already filmed. But yes, today we're going to review Dune Part 2. Before I do that, make sure you tell me down below in the comment section, what is your opinions on Dune Part 2? Is it one of your most fantastic, the best movies of all time? Or were you a bit disappointed with the film? Here's my opinion right here, and with that said, Dune Part 2 is everything I wanted it to be. Everything. Once I left the theater, there was not a spark of disappointment. I put my expectations low, I was ready to be disappointed, and I came out of the movie thinking it was one of the best and just most amazing theatrical experiences I've ever had. I went to see Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse last year, and I left that theater speechless. I went to see this movie, and the only thing I could say was after the movie was, my God, that was amazing. I took my brother and one of his friends, and they didn't like it because they've never seen the first one, but you know, whatever. But they were like, oh, it was confusing, but I guess it was okay. And I'm just sitting there like, that was one of the best, not only theater experiences, but movies I've ever seen. And it proves that Denis Villeneuve is such a freaking great director. After this movie, I watched Prisoners and I rewatched Sicario for the 3rd time. And it further solidifies the fact that he is one of the best directors in the game. And it shows here with this movie, to where he's so freaking good at directing characters and making characters feel like real people with real emotions. This movie's just shy of 3 hours long, and you got all these characters. You got the people on the Fremen, you got Paul, you got his girlfriend, you got everybody in the movie, and every single one of them, whether it's one scene, whether it's a whole movie, they each have their own character arc, and it makes them feel like real people. Well, let's talk about the cast first. Because obviously to make characters, it's not just a direction, you have to have a great cast. And it's obviously freaking amazing. Timothée Chalamet, great. I'm actually getting in arguments on Twitter. I think Anakin Skywalker is a better character. I know many of you will disagree with that. Please don't unsubscribe just because of that opinion. It's just my opinion. Anyways, I really do like him in this role. I think Timothée Chalamet goes from Paul to Wonka. Freaking fantastic actor. Gonna be one of the best of our generation. Zendaya, she didn't have much to do in that first movie. Phenomenal here. Javier Bardem, also crazy good here. You got Dave Bautista, Austin Butler. My God, what a freaking great actor. He went from Elvis to this character. Hands down, the one of the best villains. I think probably, maybe, the best villain since the Joker. Heath Ledger's the Joker. Because I think he's just so freaking good. But in case you can't get the memo, everybody here is so good, and all their characters have their own character arcs. Whether you get Shani, who has her own character arc where she likes Paul, but she doesn't know if he's the actual Messiah. She doesn't believe in that thing, but she still loves him and tries to believe, to where she gets to the end of the movie, she's not believing in any of this, and so she'll just walk away, and you feel that. Like, she's such a good character and multi-dimensional. It's not just one character arc. She feels like a real person. The character arc that comes to mind when I think of this movie, it might be weird, it's Dave Bautista's character arc. I'm gonna hands down say it, it's great. He might not be the best, because all he does is scream. But if you feel this, think of it this way. He's a character, and just in 2 tiny scenes, it proves what kind of character he is. Where you get the one scene, and he's fighting his cousin, and cousin tells him kiss the foot, and you learn that he's an embarrassment to his family. His family thinks he's an embarrassment. And once you get past that, then you get scenes where he's about to fight the Fremen in the sand, and he just runs away, proving that he's a coward. But later on, when he fights Josh Brolin's character, again, phenomenal. Josh Brolin is amazing. When he fights his character, he gets defeated in 2 simple slashes. Which at first I was like, that was kind of underwhelming. But the more I thought about it, it proves that he's not a good fighter. He talks a big game. It proves all these things about his character in just 3 simple scenes. It doesn't have to overstate it. Yeah, this character is an embarrassment, and he's weak. No, it shows. They say that he's an embarrassment. We don't know why, but then they show us later on why he's an embarrassment. That is the pinnacle of how I would describe this movie to the characters. That is peak. That is the peak. That it's amazing. And I know a lot of you will walk out of that and say, yeah, that part was a bit underwhelming. But if you think about it, it's so good. It is so good. Straight away from the characters and the cast, the cinematography is amazing. I believe it was Greg Fraser. Let me check that real quick. It was Greg Fraser, and it's phenomenal. The movie just looks great. It's shot not behind a crappy green screen. Everything about the movie looks and feels real. There's not a single scene in the movie that you say, yeah, that's unrealistic, because all of it is just shot and edited, and the VFX, it's all perfection, and it's cinema right there. This is cinema. If this does not get at least 6 Oscars next year, I am going to throw something across the room so hard until it breaks, because this movie deserves everything the Oscars have to offer, because it's done so perfectly. Something that disappointed me about the first movie was the action sequences, because to me, it was paced and just not very good. It was paced really weird, to where like all of a sudden you got the big attack, and then there's action sequences where someone's coming and he's just like, oh yeah, I'll be right back, and then he dies. It doesn't feel natural. It feels a bit weird, and that's kind of what waned the movie to not be one of my favorite movies of all time. And this movie, it fixes all that. From the very beginning, you get these stylized action sequences that are just, again, with the cinematography, they all fit, they all look awesome. You get the final battle between Timothée Chalamet's Paul and Austin Butler's, I forget his name, but the villain, and it's so good, because it looks absolutely brilliant, and just every action sequence that is in the movie never feels unnatural, never feels weird. It's all perfect, and that's another big thing that makes this movie be fantastic, because everything makes sense. Everything looks good. Nothing feels unnatural. It's a movie that you watch this movie, and it fixes every single problem that I had with the first Dune. There's not every time I think about this movie, it all fits perfectly with Dune 2021, and it all looks great, and it all just seamlessly fits to where it makes that movie better. And there's not many second parts that you can say, yeah, that actually makes the first movie better. That first movie made me interested in the world. It made me want more world building, but there's things that was unnatural. This movie gives us the world building, gives us the action that feels natural, gives us the great cast and the great character arcs. It gives us everything that a human being would possibly want out of one of his most anticipated movies of the year. It is perfect. It is fantastic. Moment I left the theater, I really just wanted to go back in and watch it again. And unfortunately, March is such a busy month that I will be at the theater 3 more times this month, possibly more, with Kung Fu Panda 4, Ghostbusters, and Godzilla and Kong. But I just want to go see this movie again because it was so good. You best bet that once the Steelbook comes out, I will go and I will watch it. I will go and I will buy it and I will watch it over and over and over again. Because it's not only that, but it's a 3-hour movie that doesn't even feel like 3 hours. When the movie ended, I looked at my watch and I was like, this is supposed to have 40 minutes left. And it doesn't feel that. I don't feel the length. It's paced perfectly. The action is so good. I can go on and on and on about how freaking amazing this movie is. I do have maybe one reservation. There were a few scenes, not the Dave Bautista one, but there were a few scenes that I felt like needed a bit more sauce, you know? They needed to show us some more and not just rush through that. I mean, I can't really complain. It's a 3-hour movie. You have all these characters that you need to explore. It doesn't take away from the movie that much, but of course I need to, it would feel wrong if I didn't just mention that there for a minute. But on top of that, I think I had one more, but the movie is just so good that it made me forget about it. I've seen it a week ago tomorrow, and all I can remember is the positives. And all I can remember is wanting to go back and wanting to watch this over and over again, and just how freaking amazing it is. I hope it gets $1 billion. I hope it's the biggest grossing movie of the year. It's phenomenal. And so obviously Dune 2 for me is going to get an A+. And honestly, I was sitting in the theater and I was thinking, Dune's special to a lot of people. It's not special to me. I've never read the books. I've never seen any of the other movies except Dune 2021. And I didn't love Dune 2021. So I didn't know if I should have given this an A+, because, you know, it's not special to me. I don't normally only give A+ to movies that I think are just special. But it's a special movie, and it gets me invested in the world, and I would feel wrong if I just gave it an A, because it's essentially a perfect movie. So yeah, that was my review of Dune Part 2. Tell me down below, what is your review of Dune Part 2? I still got a February movies ranking video coming. Denis Villeneuve ranked. I do plan on ranking the highest grossing box office movies from 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024, because I guarantee Dune Part 2 will be the biggest grossing movie. So that video will come in as well. When I see Kung Fu Panda 4, that review, March is going to be crazy. So whatever you do, sit down, stay tight, and there will be a lot more videos coming your way from Zachary Movie Chat. And with that said, thank you guys for clicking on my Dune 2 review. And with that said, subscribe to join the Nerd Army. Don't forget to pick up your Dune popcorn bucket, because look how freaking cool this is. I never buy popcorn buckets, so this is kind of cool. It's kind of cool. You know, I'm not gonna comment on this because I don't want to get canceled. But yeah, it's a cool popcorn bucket, and yeah.